Wow, I'm a lonely guy, and I can't seem to get hooked up with any of the girls that are single in my area. What can I do?
Well, what can you do? I ask you!
Wow, it's Ludwig Falmer,
Yes.
known long-distance relationship man.
What I can advise you to do is to get yourself a long-distance relationship immediately!
Isn't that hard? I mean, I have to find somebody on the internet.
Yes, but just consider the possible upsides for this. A, you don't have to look them in the face. You just look at the camera. B, if you have relationship issues, do not blame yourself or your partner. Blame the internet. It just breaks down. Nobody knows if the call just has got cancelled. It was the internet.
Wow. What number do I call?
Probably that of your spouse, not mine. I'm already hooked up. And on that note, everybody, welcome to our Relationship 2 podcast. The podcast where we talk of our relationship to other things. We are 4 different people from 3 different countries and 2 different marriages talking on one shared podcast. Hello, everybody. And today we are going to talk about long-distance relationships and our relationship to... Well, I just dropped the ball there.
The real question is long-distance relationship right for you?
I had an infomercial bit planned, and this knocked it out of the park.
I'm Felix.
I'm Char.
Great.
And I'm Ludwig.
Wow, that was good.
Yeah.
I think we should just call it.
That's it.
That's it. That's the recording.
You can Venmo us at...
Yeah.
But yes.
I just feel like we have to do that disclaimer, warning, long-distance relationship will cause financial strain.
Immense pining, massive horniness, jealousy,
heightened levels of insecurity.
heightened levels of insecurity and anxiety.
Absolute levels of rage when the internet is not working as it
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah.
Being real bummed if you can't talk to that person for a day.
But on the other hand, it causes a lot of very interesting things, I find. What we
don't worry,
talked
it's actually kind of worth it sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I see that what we talked in our last, at the end of our last episode, was relationship skills, especially soft skills, like how to talk with each other, how to communicate, what to do with our issues. And I think we should focus this episode on the good sides of the long-distance relationship and how to navigate the hard sides.
I would actually argue we should talk about even that thought process of before committing to a long distance, because a lot of people, we should do the pros and cons of it. For example, friend groups in your circle, they're going to hear about your relationship, and sometimes they're going to react really positively, or they're going to because they're romanticizing it for you, or they get really defensive and they kind of mock you for doing long distance.
Exactly.
So we're going to maybe talk about that and also touch upon some of the topics that Ludwig brought up. And let's start with Felix and Char.
About what exactly?
I mean, how did you guys, obviously...
how do we break the story?
Yeah, well, I mean, we already talked about how we met each other and how we got together. But what was that thought process when you were thinking of, oh, should I be romantically involved with this person or should I not?
There's so many factors to keep in mind, because it depends on your situation in life at the time of entering said relationship and that person, in addition to your values, what you're looking for in a relationship, what your love language is even, and a mixture of those factors can adjust how that particular relationship might go, or even how you face long distance relationships in general. Because, for instance, I always think of, oh, you're in love with somebody in high school, and then when college comes, they move out of state. you see that all the time. It doesn't work out a chunk of the time. And I always feel like that's because in college or in university, you're experimenting with a lot of stuff. You're living on your own for the first time, typically. You're doing a lot of studying without any sort of necessity of like, oh, homework. You don't get homework quite as frequently. It's not the same like classroom situation as what high school is. And so a lot of stuff's different in your life. And that, I think, inclines a lot of people to be like, should I experiment with other people, or should I experiment with other sexualities even? Because a lot of people discover their queerness in college. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. And so, like, whenever we started dating, you were already in college,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I was already in university. Yeah.
I was entering my senior year. So, like, that was an interesting shift when I went to university. Kind of helped that I was antisocial in my situation. But like, it's always a really big change whenever you're doing a long distance relationship that maybe wasn't long distance at first but became long distance, as opposed to one that started long distance. Because we started long distance, we were always long distance. But I almost am like, I wonder if we knew each other in the States and then became long distance, if it would have even worked out. Like, it's so complex.
I don't necessarily think so. Like, one of the best things which I think for Grace and my relationship is that we started out the way you did. Like, we started out as a long distance relationship coming into a close relationship. What I understand from others when I talk with people who started as a close relationship going into LDR is that they start developing a form of doing relationship where they are physically with each other, like where they have a lot of the physical thing, where they see the love languages of the other firsthand, and then they move apart and they don't have certain skills to replace or to cope with what they're currently missing. If you start the other way around, everything else which comes towards it is an addition, which can be a new kind of strain, especially if you for the first time, what we discussed last time, when you for the first time firsthand experience the stress relief mechanism of the other, or how somebody is angry in first person, right?
So that's an addition rather than something that you have to work out.
Exactly.
But also, when we started like seeing each other, I also was wondering, oh, am I gonna get not catfished, but like, am I in love with the idea of love and the idea of this person and not really know them well enough?
Exactly.
So because I've always been ingrained in like a very conservative Christian perspective that you need to know the person really well before you even consider dating. So that type of pressure was really stressful because I was like, I don't know anything about this guy. Like, I don't even know what his like church habits are, you know, like that kind of lifestyle aspect. And then I was like, how well do I actually know like myself first to be trusting my decision making, and then to also be like, hey, you're a cool person, I like you, but I don't know if this is actually you. So then like, that's why I think I had faced quite a bit of people saying like, do you actually know this guy? Or like, a lot of friends were suspicious at first because they were like, I don't know who this person is. I've never met them. I can't have a point of contact that's my own objective view of this person. And when you're saying that you're dating them and you're like really involved with them, like my friends worried for me because they're like, who is this guy? Is he a serial killer? Just like trying to like get me to Germany or like marry me for my passport, because that does happen quite a bit.
That's your mom.
Oh yeah.
That was your mom. But let me give a bit of background on, I guess, on Sean and I's relationship. We've known each other even prior to dating. We were just online friends.
You can see episode 1, introduction.
No, you can't.
For farther
It's a
information.
podcast. What are you looking at? The page?
Did I say page 1?
No, you said look.
You can see
Oh,
at the
you can go onto the internet and look with your eyes.
Look with your eyes.
Look with your eyes onto the
Special eyes.
look with your eyes onto the episode and click play and then listen.
Wow. Wow, nothing destroyed you.
No, I'm just trying for the future, get them dad jokes.
But basically, we've known each other before then, and then to switch from friends to relationship was it was really interesting. Like, I kept my private life pretty close to my chest, so I didn't even tell a lot of people that I had a girlfriend until Cheryl actually came down to visit, and they're like, "This is my girlfriend from the States," and they're like, "Wait, what?"
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't really bring it up to a whole lot of people back then.
When did your mom find out?
Well, my mom knew like a couple of months before you visited, just to like, "Mom, I'm seeing someone." But my mom, being skeptical Asian mom, was just like, "Oh, yeah, okay, this is like girlfriend number 25 or something."
Mr. Casanova here.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of funny too, because the way you worked around that relationship aspect also involved other people too, in a way, because I met Cher online first. In a sense, because you went off to Indonesia and you didn't have like reliable internet for a long time, and also the time difference was like stupid crazy.
Yeah.
So it was like me showing up on Facebook. Like, how you doing? And it's like, I'm good. Okay.
So this absolute rando person just texting you like,
yeah, and that was me, just like putting my complete absolute faith on the people that I know. So yeah, you could take care of her. It's fine. Go. Bye.
And Creator just like, yeah, we're friends, okay.
You're my best friend now.
Yeah. But like, I think my only understanding of long distance relationship was through, the online gaming and also your relationship. So because I hadn't seen long distance relationship in that way, let alone was aware of that concept until I was like starting to talk to Cher, and I was like, oh, it's like talking to an online friend from like whenever, but I didn't understand the romantic part of it at all. And I was like, yeah, I'm up for it, but like in my mind I was like, this like seems convenient because you have your own space, but you still have all of the perks of being in a relationship. And so for our listeners, how do you know that you should go into a long distance relationship when this opportunity arises? Because a lot of people nowadays have to like meet through Tinder and stuff, and they start chatting, and obviously online video gaming, and the internet is so vast, and there's like TV shows now about like catfishing, and like it really instills a sense of fear because the internet does anonymize who you are, and you can recreate who you are online, but not necessarily fully mask who you are as a person in real life.
And
So
the second thing which I often see is the stigma connected with LDRs. Like, people, you tell somebody, I'm in a long distance relationship, and the first thing you will often be met with is sympathy. Oh, you poor guy. That's
hard.
will probably not last for long, but good luck with you. Good luck.
Yeah.
This was what I encountered often at times. Like, I was telling people I'm dating this person from Canada, and they were like, yeah, sure. Now, let's see how long that will last. And I was like, Because in my family, I'm kind of known for having short-term relationships, where it's just like 3 months, and then one of us is like, nah, this is not working out, and goodbye.
I'm known within
everybody in this circle is currently pointing to Felix. Just
because I'm. For me, it's like, oh, here he goes again. Roll number 1500.
And then the second thing in there is that in my family, I was kind of known for dating strange persons, like all over the board in the internet, and and when I was like, hey, I met this girl. She is from Canada. My family was like,
oh, great. Another one.
Another.
There we go. Everybody was surprised, including me, how long it lasted. But to answer Grace's question, like, what do you need to know if you want to go into a relationship, a long-distance relationship? I think the question which you have to ask yourself is, am I ready to put in some serious work and some serious patience with each other and with yourself? Because it is so easy in a long-distance relationship to get frustrated and have no way of letting it out, right? You cannot go to your partner and just be physically present with them. And especially if it's like a long-distance relationship which goes over different continents and different time zones, there will be times where you are not able to reach your partner. With no way. That person is sleeping. And you cannot just call them up at 3 a.m. being like, hey, I have a question.
We definitely have done that, though.
Yeah.
But it just makes no sense. Yeah, you have to set boundaries at that point. But Cheryl has a huge advantage in this whole scenario, I find. Because unlike most of us... how was your first date?
Why to stick it in my nose, eh?
Hey, look at you.
What?
Look at you.
Oh, look at you. I thought on the
Oh.
But what does that have to do with advantage?
Well, in terms of I just remember that one of my favorite things to tell friends, especially when it comes to Cheryl explaining to your parents that you're in a relationship. When you told mom and dad were both like, "Oh, thank God."
Oh, yeah. Well, through high school, I was like, I'm never getting married. I'm never getting a boyfriend. I'm going to be single forever. I guess I said it too many times to her. My parents were like, please don't. Please give us grandchildren. But, I think the advantage we had... One of the things that I would always recommend is, be prepared for a slow burn. Yeah, if you're in a hurry to, progress in the relationship, it's not going to happen. Because,
not.
Felix and I were friends for 5 years before we even were like, you want to give it a shot? And even then, we talked about it for a few months.
Yeah. We weren't even sure at that point.
After you got back from Indonesia, I was like, dude, I actually missed you a whole lot. I think I might love you. And he's like, yeah, I missed you a whole lot too. I think I might love you. And we were both kind of like, should we? And we talked about it. And I actually had kind of told my mom a little bit before we actually dated. Just because, yeah, you mentioning is my first relationship. I was also just like, Mom, what do I do? Because, the concept of having a long-distance relationship as my first relationship was so weird. Because I didn't have very much actual dating experience to begin with. And so I was like, Mom, I really like this person online. I've known them for a long time, but I think I love them. What do I do? And my mom, also a boomer, doesn't really know internet culture that well. It's just like, what do you do? And she was supportive, but she was also very skeptical as well, as far as I want to make sure this person doesn't harm you.
Yeah.
You bringing up this person all of a sudden out of the blue. Yeah. You've known this person for a long time? What have you been hiding from me? Stuff like that.
Yeah. But also, this was the day and age of coming back from serial killers, doing online dating, and tracking people down,
Dateline NBC kind of stuff.
Kind of stuff. Yeah. So also children get targeted by predators online, and it's a known thing, and so the fear is instilled as well.
Yeah.
So I didn't have anyone to ask about long distance relationships in that way, because all they ever knew was what was on TV, which was this very dark side of.
Hello.
Your advantage was that you actually met Ludwig in person, so you know that this guy was just a real big doofus. And you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
The thing that made me feel a bit more confident is you took me around your house. You weren't just in one spot, which I think is a little bit sketchy.
Sitting on the couch, rocking back and forth hello, Cheryl.
You know, when you're on Omegle. What is it called? Omegle? Remember Omegle?
Omegle, yeah.
Where you're in the dark and you're just sitting there all stationary, and it's just hey, who are you? He would take me around. He'd bring his laptop around the house. He would have me wave at his mom, and we would both very awkwardly hi. But he was open about who he lived with. He was open about his house. He was open about his environment. I think that was helpful because it showed me that you were open. You weren't secretive at all about anything that there were no red flags in that matter.
Yeah.
My advice for long distance relationships then,
going into it,
yeah, have a plan. Seriously, have a plan. Probably the best thing that you can do just to start things off is to plan a visit to either you visit them or they visit you, because then that gives you something to look forward to, and then that gives you something to work towards. And then once you do see each other then, and then you've planned out this great itinerary and you plan out this big trip, then you can. By that point, you've known each other hopefully for a couple of months or however long, and then you can go from there and develop it further at that point.
But I have to warn of one of the big pitfalls which I found myself falling in from time to time, and that is check your expectations. Like, seriously, check your expectations. Like, what you might interpret as a relationship might not be a relationship for the others. How Gray and I went into the whole thing before we actually met each other in person for the second time when we were officially a couple, or the first time we were officially a couple, we never directly spoke about love. Like, we always were putting it in a way that, quote unquote, I platonically love you, right? But we never know, like, oh, I love you, I'm so in love with you. We just put it on the side. We both, I think we had a lot of the good sides.
You had a lot of doubts still. You're still making sure that things were okay, and you didn't want to invest so much into it.
Exactly. We just kept it careful, just as a protection measure of ourselves.
For sure, that makes
so
sense.
that we don't have, when you meet each other and we find out the other one is in real life slimy as troglodyte, I don't know. that we don't feel like we have to oblige now to a relationship which is doomed from the start, from the get-go. And I see that oftentimes in close distance relationships, if you could call them like that, is that people get together and then they stay with each other because they do not know the way out. Like, they have a lot of expectations, but they did not learn to communicate them. They had a lot of good feelings in the beginning, especially if it's turned towards hormones, that they have a hard time of letting go, because letting go is harder than staying together. In a long-distance relationship, it's oftentimes the other way around. Like, it feels like it's harder to stay together than to let go. Like, letting go is easy. You just shut down your computer and blame, like in the beginning, the internet. As, oh no, my router broke down, and it broke down for a week.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is. In a long-distance relationship, I found you have to invest a lot of effort in letting it happen instead of a close distance where you just, you can meet up with each other.
You meet up, hang out, and you see where it goes from there.
And you think that you're having a good relationship, but 2-3 years down the drain, you have the feeling that you did not really connect with somebody.
Mm-hmm. That person kind of needs to like become your friend almost before your partner, because if you're just like having super surface level conversations, that's going to be really boring. You're not going to go anywhere. You like, I'm sure like you guys started off like just trading off memes, like look at this shit, look at this shit. Yeah. This is all like becoming buddies even before then. And I'm not saying like that's how it has to happen, but if you're only viewing it from a romantic standpoint, you're not going to know them in any other fashion. And so when you're together and you see their flaws, you see their way of moving about the world, it's you've put on red lenses for a little bit, or what, rose-tinted lenses they call it?
Rose-tinted glasses, yeah.
And I mean, that happens in regular close distance relationships too, but even more so, it's important that you need to talk to that person pretty frequently if you're not going to be willing to like just shoot the shit with them online.
Yeah.
What are you going to talk about, aka what are you doing?
Yeah, I agree with you. But that was one of the first things between Gray and me. When I started to feel like I'm getting romantic intention. At a certain point, Gray, in our first fight, Gray literally stopped me and was like, "Ludwig, this is not working. If you're building a romantic thing, if we do not have a friendship first."
It's almost like a crush. You build a mutual crush toward each other.
Yes, we had a crush, but Gray hit the brakes super hard and was like, "Ludwig, stop."
Well, it's like when you're in a crush, you're trying to like hold back your feelings a little bit and try and be casual until the right time to be like, I love you.
Give me a kiss.
And then before you're just like, hey, you're fun. Here's an anime. Do you like my anime? Do you love me?
Yeah, because you're kind of sussing them out. Like, here are the things that I like. Do you vibe with it? And if you can vibe, let's like hang out more. But also, I think going back to the question of assessing yourself, it's like, am I self-sufficient enough to do a long distance? Like, keep myself entertained, but also when things get really hard, can my a potential partner or this person that I'm really digging, can they trust me to, you know, take care of myself, and like, what does it mean to be faithful? What does it mean to be dedicated to this relationship, right? Like to those standards too. And also, like, at some point, Ludwig and I had to sit down and say, what are our like plans in the long future? Do we plan to move in with each other? Do we plan to like live with each other? Real quick, yeah, because like as soon as you guys don't align on that end, because that's one of the most major changes in a long distance relationship, if you're not willing to sacrifice your network, your community, like your comforts, one of you guys have to do it, and the other has to accommodate their partner when they are moving to the new city. So it's like, if you're not willing to either let go or support your partner in their transition to the new like area and environment, then
you're doomed.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to figure out who's moving where and what the long term?
Oh, that was a long haggle. Yeah, that was one of the earliest questions of our relationship. If we are in this for the long run, and this was the moment when Gray hit me with the I'm not dating to have fun, but I'm dating to get married. This was the moment I was like, okay, this
I'm fucking around with you, man.
Wow.
Well, I don't want to waste my time.
Exactly. And this was one of the most helpful things in the entire... This question was the most...
It is a tough question, and it's a scary question. But
it was like...
help.
For me, it was one of the most helpful things, because I was like, hold up, there is somebody who really wants to have a relationship and not just want to have fun, the one of the relationship which I dread because they will break, and I'm not in here for the heartbreak.
Yeah.
This was the first time that somebody was absolutely clear with me. Ludwig, if you're not going to do this seriously, get the fuck out. And I was like, all right, cool. Then let's date like we want to get married.
And his response to me, I was like, so I'm dating to see like someone to be like a potential marriage partner. And then his response was, then please consider me as a potential marriage partner.
I volunteer.
Yep. I volunteer.
This is my resume with 3 references over the past 5 years.
How long do you need my CV to be? What is that? What do you need my earlier dating history? Because if yes, I'm so sorry for you.
But I actually have rejected someone saying, thank you so much for your interest. I'm not
No way! No!
I regret to inform you that we are not compatible as mates.
Thank you so much for your interest, but we have no open positions at this time.
Best of luck with your future endeavors.
But the way he responded back was really funny. He's like, can you just make this not feel like I just went to an interview? I was like, I don't dig you that same way, bro. And he's like, okay. Oh, maybe not that hard.
You wanted a different mode, man.
Wow.
Yeah, so, like, I mean, I'm also not a very romantic person. I'm so work-oriented, and I'm, like, always in a mode of...
You are a cinnamon bun.
I think...
What? No.
What does it mean?
What?
What
does that mean?
You're cute.
Yeah, but...
That's
like,
your romantic features, is the fact that you're just
it's
like
a
little...
It's a cinnamon bun with no icing. Perfectly built. And cold.
This doesn't
when
sound
you're
attractive.
hungover, when you're oh god, that's not even gonna help.
No, it's not.
You're perfect. Help. You're a perfect drunk food.
Maybe you should drop this here because the analogy is going weird.
Anyway.
Okay, well, I'm the perfect drunk food, but at the same time, when you're sober, you don't want to deal with that in a sense, right? So
what?
No. Because they were reminding me of a cold cinnamon bun.
You may not be romantic, but you were fun.
I'm a staple.
You are.
But like, what I'm trying to say is
so concerned. He's just like, what are you saying about my?
I was trying to lift you up when you said you're not romantic.
I appreciate it because I truly do not think I am romantic, even in my marriage, and like in most aspects as well, because I just want it quick and done and over with. Like,
I would like to disagree. I found out that your romantic love language is coming not in the Western kind of romanticism, like, oh, you're my best, and here are all the presents, and I'm going to throw flowers at you. Your ways of doing love and romanticism is something very practical and down to earth, which I can very much appreciate, even though at the beginning I was confused about this, because at the beginning I was like, This doesn't feel
You're
very romantic
cooking me
to me.
food as a way to say you love me?
Yes, for
What?
example. Or I am going to help you to work through your problems as a way of I show you how I love. Or I will willingly spend time with you even though my to-do list is as big as my cupboard.
Oh,
That's actually a good one.
financial.
Figure out each other's like love languages early on in the long distance
Yeah.
relationship is a fantastic way to like get to know each other and see if you're compatible with each other.
Actually, financial planning is
Financial
a really
planning-
great one.
Yeah, it is important. It took
Especially when you're actually planning to move in, because
Yeah.
you need a nice net in case shit goes wrong, because it will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's a hard one. I'm pretty sure Gray planned it out very well. I was just kind of in the seat of my pants and just like, this should be fine. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we like went through our like PR application after I moved up.
Yep.
In hindsight, look up what kind of immigration shit you need to go through before you move.
Yeah, I came to Germany with a work visa because I could not work in a different country.
Grace
I was like so stressed out.
Gray was so prepared for the meeting in the German consulate. She went in there, triple checking with me everything she needed. She went to me, I was like, Ludwig, what does this mean in the translation? What does this mean?
Wow.
And we compared the English and the German one just to make sure and double sure. And she went in with a huge folder and full of anxiety, slapped it in the front of the German consulate and was like, this is everything you need. And they were like, yeah, that's actually what you need. Stamp here, come back in 2 weeks. And that was it.
Welcome.
Even the German people there were like, you are very efficient.
Excuse me, yes. But like, I think if I didn't have the confidence in taking care of myself in that way, I would not go into a long distance relationship, because we did have that conversation of someone has to move somewhere. And we didn't know if it was going to be Ludwig or me, because my job is so network heavy and I need to know people in order to find work. I would either be working in a dead-end job that I'm going to I want to like unalive myself by working something that I'm not passionate about, but also like getting into a situation where I was like, had a game plan and it didn't work. And like, I had to also trust myself to be adaptable. But I did not allow myself to just relax. And I think that's where I trusted Ludwig as my partner to catch that.
Exactly.
So like, you can play every scenario in your brain. If it goes well, if it doesn't go well, what can go wrong? And you can't see yourself trusting your future partner in this long distance relationship to be dependable in the most practical ways. I don't think you should go into a long distance relationship either in this situation.
I think so as well. Like what happened between Gray and me was that I was always the one who made sure that we are emotionally grounded, that we have an exit strategy for whatever. Like, this was my thing that I was always reminding us, hey, if anything goes wrong, if I die, if you die, what do we do with them? Like, currently, Gray has a letter of mine which contains all of my password and all of my financial data, just for a case that I suddenly die and she has to get out of the country. And
but also, we had an exit plan for when we were engaged. Like, what in the last moment we got cold feet, or like something along the lines of like being really worried about committing legally. That's like one of the most legally binding things that could ever happen in your life other than dying, that you would have to deal with. And so obviously, like, romantically and relationship and legally, you're really committing to something that is really hard to get out of. So like, if you don't want to commit to it, we had a exit game plan where it was like, it's okay to say no. I'd rather end the engagement than go through divorce.
Now,
Especially from an immigration standpoint, that
Oh,
gets
yeah.
really sticky, because sometimes that can lead to like some law shit going on.
Yeah.
And again, just to reiterate, how long did this take to plan and sort out?
2 years.
Yeah.
Like,
2 or
This
3
is not
years,
something that you rush. Like,
Yeah.
Sharon and I did not rush through this either. When we were working through who's moving where, what are we doing, who's going to be accommodating, who's going to be giving up, we took a long time, at least 3 to 4 months.
And we talked about it multiple times and like thought on it and came back together.
Yeah,
like
we
talked
asked the same
about
question
this
again.
Yeah.
Like,
how are you feeling about this concept? We brought it up. What are your thoughts on this? We would even bring it up again after we decided, like, are you sure you're still fine with that? Have you changed your mind at all? No? Okay, good. Like, the communication was constantly open then that up until it actually happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we didn't go as far as, like, exit plans because we had absolute faith in each other. But it's good that you guys did. Especially, and plus, with you two, with being separated by an ocean at that time.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was a lot more difficult and a lot more stressful versus Cheryl and I, who they just had to move up from the States. And if anything went wrong, it was an easy flight.
Yeah.
I guess that's also experience which comes in there because the last relationship I had beforehand was very painful for me, like to end it. And I was single for over a year after that. And I was like, I am not ready, absolutely not ready to get that again, to do that again, that kind of breakup again.
Exit planning and planning for the future with your partner is also a form of love language, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with planning an exit strategy because then you're mutually understanding. Like, if something does go awry, you know, this is how we're gonna do it. Especially since you've already put so much time into a relationship, especially a long distance relationship, where you have to put in almost double the effort of a regular relationship.
It's better to figure out how you're going to mutually disconnect than just like ghost somebody, especially that long into the relationship. How devastating must that be to just suddenly you don't hear back from them? Like, what the hell do you do at that point? You've put so much into that relationship and then boom, they're gone.
Yeah, you don't want to get wrecked.
Yeah,
exactly. I can understand that some of you who listen to this and think to yourself, oh, exit strategy, like Felix said, no, we have absolute faith in each other, and it can feel scary thinking about exit strategies because it implies the possibility that eventually that the relationship will fail. But keep in mind, eventually this relationship will fail because one of you will eventually die. Like, it is for me, it is always a sort of having a security in the backhand, just for myself, to know that if things go awry, if things go bad, I know what to do, even if it's only for the next 2 or 3 days.
I view exit plans the way I view funeral planning. So, like, my parents always tell me, like, they want us to be executors of their will, right? But, like, in grief, I'm not going to be able to deal with certain things. So the exit plan allows me to kind of at least cover my base.
Stay on schedule, stay on task.
Well, actually, just to keep myself sane.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to not be emotionally distraught if we separated in our long distance because we put so much time and we've grown together. Yeah. But at the same time, we have to think about, like, am I going to be okay after this or before this? Like, everything just changes in that sense. But let us know what you guys think of
Olivia and I gotta do it in the sales pitch style.
Okay. All right, sorry.
This all sounds great. Where do I start?
Confirm that they are a real human person.
Yes.
That is what age and gender or non-gender they are, and
even if that change over time because that is fluid. Or do it my style. Get hella drunk and write a letter and just be like, what is the worst thing which gonna happen?
The worst thing is a no.
No.
The worst thing is a no. But yeah, put in the work. It's a lot of work, but it's
absolutely
worth it. It's so worth it.
It only costs you, well,
it's pretty costly.
If you're financially ready for a long distance relationship, if you have the capacity emotionally, mentally, and like even personal growth wise to do it, then if you're ready for all of those 4 categories plus some, then maybe long distance relationship is something for you.
And I don't think that like you have to be mentally stable necessarily. No. It's just the communication of what's going on.
Exactly.
Like communicate, hey, I've got depression. This shit does this to me and this to me, and it's gonna make me feel this way or this way depending on like talk about your triggers. Talk about things that, like we were talking about the whole touch thing. Like talk about the things that are going to set you off. Talk about the things that are going to like definitely make things worse if that happens.
Talk about the things which will make it better. Talk
Yeah.
about the things which you need and which stabilizes you. Talk about what gives you joy, what you search in a relationship with the other, how your family interacts with you, how you interact with your friends. Share your memes. And because because that is a kind of humor which the other one can understand. Like Gray and I often send pictures of cute doggos with encouraging messages, because if Gray is very stressed, a cute doggo will still make her look at the whole thing and be like, oh, he'll still be loving me. And then also don't worry about not showing your personality. Like, I love to woo Grace. Gray can be very sometimes like, what are you doing? And I'm like, as long as I can make you laugh at the end of the day, I have succeeded. Even if you're very confused about this.
The good husband strat. I can highly recommend. Highly recommend.
So tell us what your thoughts and worries are about going into a long distance relationship.
We might even answer them.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So you can find us at...
I'm at Composer FA.
I am Char She Blows.
I'm at Vantage Point. That's PHAN.
And I'm still under my rock.
You can find our relationship podcast at
pod_our on Twitter and ourrelationship2_pod on Insta. Or email us your questions and advice suggestions to ourrelationship2@gmail.com.
Nailed it. First try.
Boom!
Wow.
All right.
Have a good day, everybody.
Yes. Bye-bye.